Hey guys, welcome to another week of reading from the Jesus Storybook Bible. And last week we read about Noah and the flood. And this week we're going to read about the Tower of Babel. So, what is the Tower of Babel? Well, let's find out. This one's called A Giant Staircase to Heaven. Noah and his family lived in the land, and his children had children, and those children had more children, and then those children had even more. Well, you get the picture. Until there were lots of people on the earth once more. Now, back then, everyone spoke exactly the same language, so you didn't need to learn Swahili or Japanese or anything, because you could say hello to anyone and they knew what you meant. One day, everyone was talking, and they came up with an idea. Let's build ourselves a beautiful city to live in. It can be our home, and we'll be safe forever and ever. And then they had another idea. And let's build a really tall tower to reach up to heaven. Yes, they said. We'll say, look at us up here. And everyone will look up at us and we'll look down on them. And then we'll know we are something. We'll be like God. We'll be famous and safe and happy and everything will be all right. So they got to work. Brick by brick, the tower grew higher and higher until it soared above the city, touching the sky. They built stairs in the tower to climb to the top. It was like a giant staircase to heaven. Look, they cheered, we're the ones! See what we can do with our very own hands! And they were quite pleased with themselves. But God wasn't pleased with them. God could see what they were doing. They were trying to live without Him, but God knew that wouldn't make them happy or safe or anything. If they kept on living like this, they would only destroy themselves, and God loved them too much to let that happen, so He stopped their plans. One morning they went to work as usual, but everything was different. Their words were all new and funny. You see, God had given each person a completely different language. Suddenly no one understood what anyone else was saying. Someone would say, "How do you do?" And the other person thought he said, "How ugly are you?" It wasn't funny. You could be saying something nice like, "Such a lovely morning," and get a punch in the nose because they thought you said, "Hush up, you're boring." You couldn't even say pardon to check if you heard right because no one understood that word either. It wasn't easy to work together after that, as you can only imagine. People were always fighting and arguing and getting in dreadful muddle and becoming grumpier and grumpier until at last they were all too cross to keep on building and just had to stop. After that, people scattered all over the world, which is how we ended up with so many different languages today. You see, God knew however high they reached, however hard they tried, people could never get back to heaven by themselves. People didn't need a staircase, they needed a rescuer. Because the way back to heaven wasn't a staircase, it was a person. People could never reach up to heaven, so heaven would have to come down to them. And one day, it would. So now it's time for the questions. The first question is, what do we have to do to get to heaven? So the people in Babel, they built a tower to try to get to God. But what is the real way that we get to God? Okay, so talk about that with your parents if you're watching with your parents, and then you can stop the video now. So how do we get to God? Well, it's not by building a tower. It's not by anything we can do, by how special we are or cool things that we can do. The only way we can get to God is through Jesus. Jesus is our like our tower to God, our bridge to God. And what Jesus does is He died for our sins, and all we need to do is believe that Jesus, one, was real, two, that He loved us, and three, that He died for our sins so that all the bad things we done get erased, and now God allows us to come to heaven. And so Jesus is the way to heaven, and so there's nothing we can do to earn that. It's completely on what Jesus did for us, and all we need to do is acknowledge and accept that and understand that. And so if you're interested in going to heaven and you want to talk more with your parents about it, or you can talk to someone at your church about it, and talk about how did Jesus's sacrifice help you go see God after you die. So that's just anyway. Thanks for watching this week. I love you guys. I miss you guys. And we'll send another video next week. Bye.